Welcome. In this Illustrator tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to use the Shaper tool. Now you're going to want to have a new document open, and you're going to want to use the Shaper tool. The Shaper tool is usually right below your shapes. It is this little circle with a little pencil or pen next to it, and you're going to select that. Now using the Shaper tool, you're going to very quickly draw shapes. Now this works really nicely if you have a pen tablet or if you have a mouse. You can just use the mouse. But as you can see, I'm very quickly drawing some shapes, and it adjusts and captures the actual form of the shape very easily. So ovals, circles. You can even do hexagons. You have to be careful because if you notice that I didn't draw the hexagon enough shapes, and it really captures it as a circle. So I notice it doesn't do octagons, it kind of puts those as squares, but you can usually get a hexagon. There we go. So hexagons are a little bit harder. You can do straight lines when you're not selected on a shape. So you can do straight lines in different directions, hexagons, squares, circles, triangles, ovals, things like that. Delete these little pathways. Sometimes the pen tablet can be a little sensitive, so you really just have to play with it and see what works best. Another thing that's really cool is once you have these shapes drawn, you can actually click on the shape and you can adjust it. Now once I get it to a perfect circle, those little crosshairs show up, and then I know that that's a circle. Same thing with the rectangles. If you get it to a perfect square, that diagonal line across will actually go. You can also use the rounded edges just like you would a normal shape. So you can just click on these and select. Technically, you don't even have to leave the Shaper tool. You should just be able to select directly inside the Shaper tool, adjust it, and then select in your open artboard area and go back to drawing. Now there's some really cool things with this. I'm going to delete all these shapes and show you some really neat things that you can do. I want the Shaper tool, sorry. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and then I'm going to place a few shapes to show you some examples. Now there's some cool settings inside the Shaper tool that we can use. So when we're working with the Shaper tool, if you want to erase the inside of a shape that you drew, you simply have to use your mouse and scribble on the inside. So it deleted the whole inside. If I only use a little scribble line on this side, but I don't cross that line, it'll erase the background there, but not inside the square. If you go from outside all the way in, it'll actually cut it out. You can erase just the inside. If I go from the inside of this larger rectangle across, it will merge it together so you have the shape without the lines there. You can get rid of just the outside and leave the inside shape there. So there's a couple different things that you can do to create and add things together. Now you can still take and select a shape, an area, and adjust and edit it. So if you select the actual shape, you can still do all those same edits. So this makes it to where you guys can draw some really basic shapes really quickly. Now, some other settings that I'm going to show you that work really neat with the shaper tool and just shapes in general is right here we have the draw normal, the draw behind, and this is the draw inside. Now, this can be done with your regular shape tool or your shaper tool. So let's say I have a circle. I'm going to create 2 of them. Now, the normal draw mode, what this does is every time you draw a new shape, it places it on top. So what you'll notice is this is the first shape I drew, so it's on the bottom. It's the last shape I drew, so it's on top of all of them. This shape here is on top of these ones, but not the circle there. It's behind it. So that's normal draw mode. Draw behind mode is where you have your shape and each of the new ones is behind the shape. So it's just drawing backwards. So this can be helpful if you're trying to stack things. Now you have the draw inside. Now this is a pretty cool option. So if you select your shape, click draw inside, grab whatever shape or shaper tool you want. Now anything that you create is going to be on the inside. See how it cuts the corner off? The draw inside also works for your shaper tools, or your shape tools. So not just the shaper tool, but the shape tool. It also works for your line tools. And it also works for your pen tool, which is right here, which you will be learning how to use. So it keeps everything within that circle. So this is really great if you're creating any kind of logo, or like let's say you're creating the globe and you have to create something within that, and this just makes it a lot easier so you never go over. So that's pretty much the basics of the shaper tool. You can still use this with your Pathfinder tools. It just makes it to where drawing the shapes are a little bit quicker.